What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back, always delivering the big names in our sport. Today we get to talk to Loopy Godinez, a UFC strawweight, 10-3 overall, 5-3 in the UFC. She's got Elise Reed coming up here at Noche UFC on September 16th here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome back to Junkie Radio. Loopy, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for asking. All right, so we're getting close. What do you think of the UFC making this card very special for Latino fighters and more specifically Mexican fighters? September 16th is a big day in the history of Mexico.
Yeah, well, super excited to be part of the car and to be out here training in Mexico. As I've been saying, it's like me getting back into my heritage, my country, my just getting back to it. I was away for so many years for so long. So it's nice and refreshing to be, training here, and now even better, I get to fight in September 16. So I think it's great.
What have you heard in terms of? We know the UFC is not going to go to Mexico in 2023, but do you think this is a date that the UFC will try to do every year? And if so, have you heard anything about it happening in Mexico next year?
I haven't heard anything. I will think they will want to do something in Mexico maybe next year, but I have no idea, to be honest.
How big do you think it would be if they did for the country of Mexico and the MMA movement that's happening down there, where there's so many new fighters that are having success?
I think it will be great opportunity, and I think we're seeing the sport growing in Mexico. And yeah, I think it will be a really big opportunity for the UFC and for the Mexican MMA culture.
hmm So right now we're about 2 weeks away. No, 11 days away. Actually, wow, it's getting really, really close. What do you want to accomplish in these last few days? Is it still techniques that you learn? Is it applying the game plan, or are you now just focused on the weight cut and fighting on the 16th?
Yeah, no, right now it's just mostly repeating and repeating the game plan, and like all of those, just covering all the areas, like going back and revisiting everything we've been doing, pretty much that.
Could you watch video of her fighting right now and still pick something up, or is that in the distance? Did you do that at the beginning of camp?
No, no, we make adjustments until the day of the fight.
Right.
There is room to change things to learn. So yeah, it's always a good time to get better. Sorry, so many mosquitoes here.
Oh, there's a lot of mosquitoes there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it a big problem
Mm,
where you live?
my legs are done. I'm
Oh, wow.
yeah.
When we go back to California, the mosquitoes get me too. So maybe something about the Pacific Ocean, the West Coast, who knows what it is.
Mhm.
Wow. All right. The reason I asked was I was looking at your Instagram, and I'm seeing your training partners, and I haven't asked a fighter this question in a long time, but are you ever a stalker of your opponent? Meaning you check their Twitter and Instagram just to see what they're up to, who they're training with. Maybe you can pick something up. Like have you ever done that, or has anyone ever done that to you?
Um, to me, I'm not sure, but when they give me her name, I just took a look a little bit of everything, kind of to see what she's doing and all of that. But that's about it. Just it was like super quick. Um, because honestly, I feel super confident. I feel great. I just wanted to be a little bit more familiar with her because I know she's been in the UFC. She got a few fights now. But yeah, it's good always to kind of get to know a little bit more.
Did you wind up learning anything about her, useful or curious?
I mean, the most important things I just took care of her fights. All the fights that
Yeah.
I. Yeah, the other stuff is just you post what you want other people to see, right?
Right. Yeah, I see you both doing weight training, your teammates, very similar pages in a way. Loopy Godinez is joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. She's fighting on September 16th here in Las Vegas, Noche UFC. That night, of course, the main event is Alexa Grasso defending her UFC flyweight title against Valentina Shevchenko. All right, goes. What do you have for Loopy Godinez?
Lupe, I was just curious how you handled the opponent change. This seems like it's something that back in the day used to kind of catch fighters off guard, but now it's happening so often
Mhm.
that fighters seem to be adjusting a little bit more easily to something like that. What was it like it personally for you?
Yeah. Well, that morning, I woke up, see the message saying, opponent is out, but we go Elise Reed that we take it, right? Then it was like right away, so I didn't have time to like panic or anything like that. So that was good. Uh, but yeah, I had like the fight right away. But yeah, like when I go over Sam, I I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't pull out because she did pull out before on me for my second UFC fight um, because of some COVID, the coach or something like that. But I know she doesn't want to fight me. I just know. So I was like worried that she was gonna pull out because like I'm here, I moved. I'm doing my full camp in Mexico, and like, of course, I'm looking forward to fight, to get in there and show all my improvements and everything. And of course, she pull out, so it sucks, right? But luckily, the UFC and my management they have this opponent for me, so that's great.
Do you think that's the last you'll ever see of her ever again, or if they ever brought up her name, would you just say, I'm not doing this again"?
Yeah, well, I did told my manager, I did told Jason, I'm like, you know what? She doesn't want to fight me. Just tell them to the UFC. um, like there is no point of doing full camps and like if you don't want to fight, that's just a waste of time.
Loopy, so if we look at this fight here and we look at where you're at, a win here puts you on kind of a nice streak, and it puts you, we're almost not to the end of the year, but there might still even be room for one more if you're up for it for the end of the year. Would you be willing to fight one more time this year? And if so, where do you think that would put you in the position as far as titles and all that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting up there. I'm slowly climbing the ladder, and if they offer me a fight, of course, if I feel good, my body is good. Why not? Um, but yeah, we will see. We will see what happens after this one. See what the UFC wants, the management, all of that stuff, and go from there.
Loopy, I'm just curious if a lot of times when you have like high school reunions, those types of things, and you see what people have become, sometimes you go, yeah, that makes sense. Or sometimes you go, wow, I never imagined this person would be a doctor or a fireman or something. If you would go back to your high school days, do you think you would be shocked to know that later on you became a professional fighter? Do you think your classmates would be shocked, or would they kind of go, yeah, okay, I can kind of see that?
Honestly, I haven't changed a bit, so I don't. Nobody will be surprised. That some of the people that I still talk to, they're like, yeah, of course, because that's I always been like kind of like this when I was younger too. So yeah, that's not surprising.
Ah, so Loopy Godinez was a fighter in high school?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like picking fights, but I was defending people.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
people
Yeah.
were bullying, and then I will defend them. Or I was in judo, so I was like always trying my moves on people in school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was actually. I looked at a video yesterday, and it was this girl hitting a piñata, right? And like she's just like going crazy. And I remember I was like, oh, when I was a little kid, I just like that just came in my mind. It was like, okay, at the kids party, I wasn't allowed to hit the piñata first. everyone had to go first, and then I was the last one because I was the one that ruined the party pretty much. Always boom, and then break the piñata, and then nobody, gets to play with it, I guess. But yeah,
Boom with your hand or with a stick?
no, with the stick.
Oh, I was like, wow, she's strong.
No, with the stick.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I told a story about a piñata today and a stick, and I
Mhm.
accidentally hurt a little girl when I was younger. I had the blindfold on,
Oh,
and they moved the piñata when I
yeah.
swung. Well, no, sorry. I hit the piñata. A couple candies came out, and so
Oh,
the couple kids went in there, but obviously they still wanted me hitting it because they wanted me to destroy it. Because I was 10, everybody else was 5, so I was basically bringing. It was time to find. Everybody had their shot. It was time for me to just do it. And then
smash
when
it.
I swung and I missed the piñata, I hit a girl in the head. And I was
Oh,
just telling that story today. That's why we kind of smiled when you started telling that story.
that's funny.
Yeah. Well, listen, when we have guests in our studio back in the day, only in the studio we used to say, "Can you tell us a good street fight story?" But because of COVID, we had to move out of the studio, and it's hard to connect, especially because obviously you're in Mexico. So, now that we have the magic of video, can you share a good street fight story? I'm curious about a bully story. You have a good bully story?
Let me think. Oh, uh, I remember in school. I don't remember what exactly the kid did, but all I remember was that I just went like with my leg, boom, right on his balls.
Uh-huh.
And but I don't remember what he did. I don't know if he did something to me, or he tried to do something with someone else. But yeah, I was always there.
What
Um,
age were you?
Sorry.
How old were you when you did this?
Oh, I was like 14, 13, 10. Maybe like 10 or 9.
10. Okay, but you don't remember what the boy did, right?
Huh?
You don't remember what the boy did?
I don't remember what he did. I remember exactly what part of the school we were. I remember everything, but I don't remember exactly what he did.
Was the fight over at that point?
Oh yeah, he just fall down.
Did you get in trouble?
Me, no, nobody, no, the teachers weren't around, so no.
Oh, were there a lot of kids there?
Yeah, yeah.
So then the next day from then on, were you known kind of like as the girl not to mess with? Like
Oh
you
yeah,
kind of built a reputation at that point?
yeah. Always in my school, always like nobody wanna mess with me or my sisters because my sis my sisters will be just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell my sister, and then they
Mm,
knew that if they told me, I was gonna show up and then be like, what's happening here?
right.
Yeah.
Um in I guess I imagine you got some of this intensity and toughness from your family. Would you say it's more mom's side, dad's side, or a distant cousin or uncle or your friends?
Yeah.
And where did you get this?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the toughness is like, well, like my both of my parents are really tough, to be honest. But it's just different toughness. I feel like my mom can take pain more than my dad. Like he can, she can deal more with that and like just soak it up. And my dad, and I think I got that from her. And from my dad, I just did I think I have like I won't stop until it happened the way I want it, pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know that's probably a word for that, but I just don't have that right now.
If your dad would have, mom or dad would have picked you up at school the day you kicked the boy in the balls, after the meeting with the principal, would they have said, Lupita, you're not supposed to kick a boy in the balls? Or would they have said more like, bien hecho, mija?
My dad always he was proud of me when I will make kids cry.
Wow. And so, does your family travel to your fights? Will they be there this next fight coming up?
No, they won't be there. They get too nervous and yeah, it's too much for them. They watch me at home in TV,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, they maybe the next one, maybe if I fight in Canada one day, they will
Do
come.
they watch live or they have to wait till the result is over?
No, they watch it live.
Wow,
Live.
that must be crazy. A lot of family watches it together.
Yeah, they invite friends, and my sisters are there too, mom and dad, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're crazy.
Don't you
My
think the
dad.
UFC should do like the PFL? You ever watch the PFL, Professional Fighters League? They'll show the family at home. I think that's awesome. I wish the UFC would do more of that.
Yeah, that would be cool, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, but no, like they just stay together at my mom's and then watch the fights, get nervous, invite friends, eat, drink, whatever. My dad's get the what? The pressure goes down, the sugar levels or something. She gets all pale, all dizzy. Yeah.
How many texts do you get from friends and family when the fight's over?
Oh, a lot, a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
You answer all of them or no?
Not right away. Right
Yeah.
away. As soon as I go back to the hotel, I call my mom. That's the
Well,
first thing I do.
right.
Call, I call my parents and everyone, like at home, whoever is
Yeah.
there, and talk about the fight, whatever, congrats or whatever.
That's
And
awesome. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's
I love it.
later on I answer everyone else. But first is my family.
Very cool. All right, Lupita Godinez. Thank you so much for the time. Last time we caught up with you, it was before the Angela Hill fight. So it's
Mm,
been a few fights since then, but it's been about a year. I'm glad we were able to catch up today. Best of luck with the rest of your training, your travels, your weight cut. Can't wait for the fight against Elise Reed. This is going to be an epic event. Noche UFC on September 16th, Mexican Independence Day. And again, thank you for your time here on Junkie Radio.
awesome. Thank you so much.